Hi everyone, welcome to or welcome back to my channel. My name is Monzi if you are new here, and for today's video I'm going to be doing another reading vlog, a little bit of a themed reading vlog. My plan for the day is to start and finish 3 sci-fi novellas. I've been really wanting to get into the sci-fi genre as the darker months approach, but I don't really feel ready yet to read a full-length science fiction book, so I thought I would ease myself in by reading some shorter stories. 2 of these books showed up on my science fiction TBR video that I did a couple months ago, and the third one that I have in this video wasn't really on my radar to read this season, but I did some research and I saw some reviews online and I just wanted to add it to my video today because I thought I could finish 3 novellas pretty easily in a single day. And I've heard really good things, so I'm very excited to add it to my list. So let me go over what I have on the docket for today. The first book is Binti by Nnedi Okorafor. This is definitely the shortest book on my list. It's only 90 pages long and there really aren't that many words to a page, so I feel like I can finish this pretty quickly. I honestly don't remember the plot summary, but I do believe it takes place at a university, and I personally just eat up stories that take place in like a school or academic setting. So really looking forward to reading this. The second book is All Systems Red by Martha Wells. This is the first novella in the Murderbot Diaries. And again, don't completely remember the synopsis of the book, but I do know that we're following a robot who really likes to watch telenovelas, and that just sounds incredibly fun to me, so I feel like I'm gonna have a really enjoyable time with this one, and I'm hoping that I really like it so that I continue with the Murderbot series. And then the last one that I picked that I just recently came across is A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. I know zero about this book, absolutely nothing other than how people feel about it, but I don't actually know anything about what happens in the book. And I'm really just excited to go into a book completely blind. There's also a blurb on the front from Martha Wells, the author of this book, and she says, an optimistic vision of a lush, beautiful world. So I think that's kind of fun that the author of another book in this video blurbed this book, and we will just find out together what it is about. So here is my little TBR for the day. I think that I'm going to start with Binti, just because it's the shortest book out of all of these. I think I could probably read it in a sitting, like without even getting up, and it'll probably just give me that really fun hit of dopamine from finishing something and encourage me to continue. I'm very excited about my day. I hope you're excited to come along with me, and I just say that we begin. I finished Binti. I also took a nap, and it's not because this was boring, it was just because I'm tired, and I always take naps when I have the freedom to do so. So it's been like 2-3 hours since I started this book, but I think that it only took me an hour in reality to finish it. But that's pure guesstimation. I actually have no idea how long it took me. This was okay. And before I get into it, I do just want to say, I forgot to mention that I think this cover is striking. I really like the accent color on the dark backdrop. I just think it is so eye-catching and part of the reason that I wanted to read it, and it ends up being a focal point of the story, this like orange paste on our main character's face. Anyway, okay, in this book we are following the title character, Binti. She is part of the Himba people, which is actually a very real tribe that exists in Namibia. So this is based off of a real group of people. She is the first of the Himba people to be accepted into the most prestigious university in the galaxy, which is such a great honor, but no one in her tribe wants her to actually attend. Binti is a brave and brilliant young woman, and she decides to venture out on her own to a completely different part of the galaxy to go to this university against everyone's warnings and everyone's wishes. On her journey there, she somehow gets entangled in this war between these two other groups and ends up acting as a mediator between the two. And that's mostly what this little novella is about. Unfortunately, we get very, very little of the actual university. Like, I was hoping we would be in a school setting in this book, and there was none of that. It was mostly about Binti's journey getting to the university. So I was a little disappointed in that. And then the story itself just didn't feel very fleshed out. It was definitely interesting, and I really liked the concept. I didn't love the ending of it. Like, the ending was just sort of easy, and for being the first book in a trilogy, it didn't really leave me wanting more. So I don't know, even though it didn't leave me on a cliffhanger, like, there was kind of a resolution at the end of the story. I do want to pick up the second one just because I think the second one is going to take place at the university and I might like it a lot more. So yeah, I don't know if I want to give this a 2.5 or a 3 stars. I'm going to sit on it for a little bit. If you have read this trilogy, please let me know how you felt about this one versus the second one, and if you think that I should continue on. I think for my next book, I'm going to pick up All Systems Red by Martha Wells. I think I have the highest hopes for this one, and I kind of need a win after Binti. Not that I didn't like Binti, it wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't like particularly enjoyable or anything that knocked my socks off. So I'm really, really hoping that this one does. Let's find out. Quick little Murderbot update. I've only finished the first chapter, but I do have some initial thoughts, and I feel like I can tell you a little bit more about what this novella is about. If I were doing a challenge where I read the first sentence or the first chapter of a book and then picked what I was going to read based off of just that initial reading, I would pick this book up. I'm actually going to read you the first paragraph. It's really short, just to give you an idea of what I mean. I could have become a mass murderer after I hacked my government module, but then I realized I could access the combined feed of entertainment channels carried on the company satellites. It had been well over 35,000 hours or so since then, with still not much murdering, but probably, I don't know, a little under 35,000 hours of movies, serials, books, plays, and music consumed. As a heartless killing machine, I was a terrible failure. I mean, I just think that is so funny. So far, this book has been really, really fun. Murderbot does indeed enjoy watching TV and just consuming entertainment, as you learn from the very, very beginning. From what I've gathered, Murderbot is a humanoid robot, part human, part robot, and their entire job is to protect humans as they go on these different interplanetary missions. So the book basically opens up with Murderbot keeping watch over these two scientists while they do some field work, and then something goes awry and Murderbot has to go in and save them, and that's about it. That's what we know so far. But there's already so much humor to the story. It really reminds me a lot of the humor in Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. It's not the exact same, and the premise of the two books are pretty different, but just the way that it makes me feel is very, very similar. Project Hail Mary was one of my favorite books of 2023, so suffice it to say, I am even more excited to read this book. And I'm hoping that I love it, because then that means that I get a whole series of books like this. Let's continue. I just finished All Systems Red, and I really enjoyed this. I thought that it was really good. It ended up being a lot more thrilling than I was expecting, and I don't know what I was expecting. I guess I thought it was just going to be like a funny, light read, but it's very plot heavy. There's this big mystery that we're trying to solve throughout the whole story. Lots and lots of action, definitely. There's also some humanization of Murderbot at hand that's pretty tender at times, but not overly so. I would say it's just kind of sprinkled in here and there. And this is a series that I do want to continue for sure. Whereas with Binti, I don't know if I'm going to actually. I know that I will keep reading this Murderbot series. I will say that with science fiction, there is definitely a bit of a learning curve, and I'm still in the very, very early stages of my sci-fi journey. So some of the logistical details in the book were kind of lost on me. I did not fully comprehend everything that was going on, but it didn't take away from my overall understanding of the plot. And I'm hoping that the more sci-fi I read, the more familiar some of the language becomes to me, so I'm not so lost at the beginning. I was definitely pretty confused at the start, and it took me a while to get settled into the story. So if you haven't read much sci-fi, just prepare yourself for that. Give it some time. Know that maybe you'll have to like reread a couple of passages to fully grasp all the details. It ends up being worth it. So yeah, I think that I would probably give this a 4 out of 5 stars. I feel like that sits right with me. So the third novella that I have yet to read is A Psalm for the Wild Built, and I'm gonna be honest, I wanted to read it today. Like, I wanted to read all 3 of these novellas in a single day, and I think that I can still read them in a day, just not the same day. I got pretty distracted today with my napping, and then I had this like surge of energy where I really wanted to redecorate, so I went down this online rabbit hole with looking up things that I could decorate my apartment with, and that took up a significant amount of my time. So yeah, it's pretty late now, and I would really like to get a good solid night's sleep, so I don't think that I'm gonna force myself to stay up and read this, but I will start reading it tonight, and if I end up finishing it before 1 p.m. tomorrow, then I will still have read 3 novellas in a 24-hour time period. So that's the new plan. Okay, we're pivoting to make it work for me and my circumstances. Again, I don't know anything about this book, so I will have to check in with you tomorrow once I've gotten maybe like 20-30 pages in and I know a little bit more, so I can give you some of the plot set up before I give you my final review. So I am gonna read right now, but I'm also gonna bid you good night, and I will see you tomorrow. Good morning. It is the next day. I'm 2 chapters into A Psalm for the Wild Built, and just want to tell you how it's going, because it's going very well. So this is actually another robot story, which I didn't know. I should have known, because on the front it literally says a monk and robot book, but I completely overlooked that. This robot story is very different than Murderbot. It's much more wholesome, much more cozy, not a lot of action. It's just kind of a slow moving story, but it's just so delightful. The story opens up with a prologue where we learn that humans at some point in time created robots to make their lives easier, and then at some point freed those robots, and the robots decided that they wanted to go and live out their days in the wilderness. Then we move on to present day, where we are following our main character, Dex, a non-binary character, which I love. Dex is a monk and seems to have been trained originally as a garden monk, tending to the gardens in the city. And one day they decide that they want to leave the city in search of the sound of crickets. And so they transition into the role of a tea monk. And the job of a tea monk is basically just to travel around in this wagon, set up shop, and have people in the town come and seek counsel from you while you serve them tea. So like I said, just very wholesome. So we're just following Dex as they move through this circuit of towns and set up tea shop and offer counsel to the townspeople. And what just happened at the end of chapter 2 is Dex is still feeling that pull for the sound of crickets, and discovers that in order to go and find the crickets, they need to really delve into the wilderness, and they've just encountered the first robot. I think this is just going to be a really sweet story. I very much like the writing so far. It's slow moving, but it's just so pleasant. It's just so pleasant. I'm gonna make another cup of coffee and read the last 100 pages of this novella, and then I will come back for my final update of this vlog. I just finished A Psalm for the Wild Built, and to put it simply, this felt like the warmest embrace that I've felt in a very long time. It was so unexpected. I don't know what I was expecting because I didn't know what the story was about when I picked it up, but I guess generally speaking, when I think of sci-fi, I don't think heartwarming. I think action-packed, we're in space, technology is advancing, and I don't expect stories like this. This was so charming and so thought-provoking, and nothing even happens in the story. Like, we're really just following a monk and a robot as they get to know one another, just having conversations with each other, pretty deep conversations with each other about philosophy and life and the nature of existence and the purpose of being here. It is very much a slice of life type of story. If you're looking for something that is action-packed, do not pick this book up expecting that. But if you're looking for something that's just cozy and comforting, but also presents you with ideas and themes that you're gonna want to meditate on, then this is the book for you. And to be honest, if I heard someone else describe this book that way, I don't think I would be too keen on picking it up. I'm a very plot-driven reader, but I still loved this. So even if I didn't make it sound that appealing, I still think that you should read this. I mean, it is so short. You're not gonna waste your time by reading it, and you can get so much out of it. This book really made me think. It really made me feel. It made me smile. I thought it was so funny and so cute. And I really loved it. I did. I don't know if I want to give this an outright 5-star rating, but at the very least, I feel really confident giving this a 4.5. It is by far my favorite read of this vlog. So to do a little recap, I gave Binti a 2.5-star rating, and I feel like I'm firm in that decision. I am going to continue with the series because the next one I believe is going to take place in the university setting, and I just feel like I'm going to like that a lot more. But yeah, I don't know if I necessarily would recommend this. I don't think it's gonna hurt to read it. It's only 90 pages. You could read it in a sitting very easily, and some people really love this story, so definitely don't want to steer you away from this one. Then All Systems Red, I gave 4 out of 5 stars. I thought that this was a lot of fun. I don't think that if you've never read sci-fi, you should start with this one, because I have even read some other sci-fi books and felt a little bit lost with some of like the technical details of it all. But if you're smarter than me, you might be just fine. But for me, it took a minute to get kind of situated in this world and understand kind of what was going on with the logistical aspects of the book. But still a strong 4. I really loved Murderbot, and I really want to know where the series takes them. And then I just talked about A Psalm for the Wild Built, so I won't say anymore. I really liked how this video got progressively better in terms of my enjoyment of each book. I prefer it that way. Ending on a high note, we love that. And there you go. Those are the 3 little books that I read in this video. Let me know down below if you've read any of these, or if you've been wanting to, or if you have any other sci-fi novella recommendations. I would love to hear them. I am going to end this video now, but I really appreciate it if you watched this whole thing, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.